So I'm going to talk about budgeting on this, and we're going to talk about our portfolio project right here. So I'm going to go back to the original page here. And here is our portfolio project, lesson 3. I again recommend start on this right away. Do not wait. When you wait, it's going to be harder on you. Please make sure that you're spending time doing this every day. Like if you procrastinate or you take time doing other things, the class will become very difficult for you. The only reason I've ever seen anyone fail this class is because they do not put that time into it each week. They think it's going to be a short deal, and some weeks it's only 2 hours. Some weeks it's going to be 10, 20 hours for some of you. So please make sure that you get on Mondays. You look at your pre-gathering, you get that done as soon as you can, as well as the portfolio project. Get started on that immediately, and then continue to manage your time. Again, time management is the enemy here, because that's what usually gets people, is they don't put those hours into the class. Okay, so we're doing that. This is Monday, and if I was a student, I'd be going to portfolio project and I would be starting it immediately. And so I'm going to click on here. I'm going to start reading it. So I'm going to start reading it. It has some things they want us to read about money and money management. I highly recommend them. It talks about your exercises, that you're going to make a spreadsheet, and it talks about how you're going to grade. The spreadsheet's going to be graded. It tells us that in our assignment from last week, we should have already made a budget and expenses portfolio project from question number 17. Now, some of you may have not done that, and that's not going to hurt you. What's going to hurt you is not doing your portfolio project. So we're going to stay focused with that. If you do not know anything about spreadsheets, you're going to click here. Okay, down here, Introduction to Spreadsheets. This is how you turn it in. You click there. So Introduction to Spreadsheets, I'm going to click there. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to read through here. I noticed that if I don't have a spreadsheet software, I can get one for free. So I can click on this and I can download one for free. Download full installation. I can even change the language. So let's say that you're really struggling with English as a whole. Well, if you speak Russian, download it in Russian. Okay. Please make sure you put the time in, download the document, figure out how to do it. Okay. What I do on mine will be very, 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 very similar to what you need to do on yours. That being said, I'm going to go back to here. I read through the rest of this to see how to do it. There is a link. Again, click on this if you're having trouble to read more about how to do it. I'm going to go back up to go back to the original document, and I'm going to read these. What's really nice about reading these is that it gives us an outline here. So let's see here. No, it's not that. I already downloaded this. So let's click on it again. Let's download it again. Oh, here it is. I already downloaded it. So you read through it. This is a wonderful guide on how to manage your money. And they give us an example budget. Okay, so you're going to have to make yours from scratch. That doesn't mean that you can't use one to help guide you through it. So I've already started mine. This is mine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this out. And then, oops. See if I can delete that out. And then I'm going to kind of just copy this in here. But it's going to be mine. I'm making it from scratch. I'm just using it as a template. So budget for, and so I'm going to type this in. Budget for January 2017. And then when I go back here, it tells me that we have an income with planned and actual. That's the reason why students lose a lot of points, is because they just track expenses, and that's called tracking expenses. If you want to make a budget, you need to make goals of how much you're going to spend, and then track your expenses to see if you meet your goals. That's a budget. A budget requires goals to how to spend your money. That's a budget. If you just want to track expenses, that's called tracking expenses. Together with goals for your money and tracking expenses, those together make a budget. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a budget with planned, meaning our goals of how much we're going to spend, and actual. All right, so I'm going to take this and we're going to put all this in here. So we have an income tab here, and so we have income, and let's say I have wages, and we have a planned, how much I'm going to get paid, and then actual. And sometimes these are the same, sometimes they're not. So let's just assume that I made $2,600. And then let's say my planned was $2,450 because how I called a sick day or something. And then we need to make some expenses. Now they have some really outlined expenses that you don't really have to think about already here. So I'm going to copy and paste these in and then retype them so that I have them all in here. Debt. Yeah, we want to avoid that, but sometimes it's hard not to. Okay, alright, so I put all these in there. And then I also need to think, well, that's just a generic budget. Is there other things that my family does? Like we do family outings routinely, so I'll take the kids, we'll go to a movie or whatever, and then that will go into the family when I spend that money. Restaurants, sometimes we go on a date to a restaurant. I'm going to spell check that here in a sec. Let's go to spell check here. So let's go to review and spelling. Again, I'm a math teacher, not a English teacher, but I do very well with my English, when I can. So, all right, so let's see, a restaurant. What other type of expenses? We have a car, or that's transportation. I think that's good for my family. We have those two extra categories, and we're going to do our plan. So we pay 10%, so that's $260. And then how much do I want to put into savings every month? Let's try $150. I do know here in America, if we wanted a good retirement plan, we want to probably start saving $350 a month from when I'm 24. So we got to keep that in mind. So let's say food. Let's do $300 food. I have 3 kids. Mortgage is $700. Utilities altogether, we have electric and gas and trash. Let's do $200. Transportation, that's just the cost of gasoline. I don't have any car payments. I own all my cars. Debt payments, right now we don't have too many debt payments, so $150. Insurance, $80. No medical payments at all. Clothing, let's budget $80 for clothing. Let's budget for the family outings. Let's budget $60. And restaurants, let's eat out once or twice. And then we're going to add all these up. So you can get a calculator out, or you can use your sum function here, and then you can add them all up. So that's my planned expenses. And then as I go through my month, I'm going to add up my church donation. So let's say that is my amount. So I got $245 that I'm going to spend. And I go through and see how I do in that month, this January month. And then we see how it works. So, and this is called a budget. If all I do is track my expenses, that's tracking expenses. So let's say I put $100 in my savings this last month. Let's say I spent $500 on food, $500. Let's say my mortgage was $700, just like I thought. Let's say my utilities were high because of the snowstorm we've had. It's been really cold. Let's say we also have driven a little because we've been stuck in our home. Our debt payments are usually the same. Insurance is almost always the same. Clothing, let's say we spent a lot of money on clothes. Tons of money on clothes because let's say my kid needed new clothes. And we did some family outings. We went out to eat a few extra times for a total. Again, you can get your calculator out and add these all up, of $25.75. Okay, and then that would make our we'd be negative $125. Okay, so that's how you keep track of a budget. And then what you do after you do this is you need to look and say, okay, where did I spend too much money? I spent way too much money on food. I need to go back this next month and spend a lot less on food so I can meet that better. My utilities were real high because of the cold weather that we've had. Either I need to up this number, or I need to make sure that I manage how much I use my fireplace, or clothing we spent way too much on. Maybe I should have gotten a better deal, or should I have waited longer and bought less at once. And then maybe we should have not gone on all those extra dates or outings or to a restaurant. So that's on all. This is just a very generic budget. I've seen much more in-depth budgets that students have made that have much more columns and much more keeping track of expenses. But remember, you need to have a goal of how much you're going to spend in the month, and then you keep track of your expenses, and then you see if you meet your goal. Notice in this example, I did not meet my goal. All right. Now you can hopefully in real life that you do meet your goal, because going into debt every month is a bad idea. And this is not my budget at all personally, but I wanted to give you a good example. If you have any more questions about how to do this, let me know. From here, I'm going to hit File, and I'm going to save it. If you're doing this on Google Documents, you're going to download it, or you're going to go to Download option, but you're going to save it, and then you'll save it to a folder of some kind, any folder you want. And then after you save it, you're going to go back to the classroom, back to here, and click on this and upload it. If you have any questions after this video, please let me know. I'd love